Oh boy, what will go wrong this week? Nothing, I hope. Alright, kicking off this week with Game Rant posting an article claiming AC Shadows is getting positive reviews in Japan. Sadly, the article doesn't provide sources or even something that would indicate that Japanese people love the game. But trust me bro, they like it. The article further cites OpenCritic and its score of 81, and further cites a post from Hideki Kayami, the creator of Bayonetta and Okami, on his Twitter page saying he's glad AC Shadows is doing well. All of that while Japan is currently looking into what could be done as Ubisoft ignores all the requests from Japanese officials when it came to the game. Sadly, the employees are not left unscathed thanks to the company's stocks cratering. And with most of the employees using their bonuses to buy Ubisoft shares, going back to 2015, this leaves a lot of people out of a decent part of their earnings. One anonymous poster said they are under a NDA, and another added a clarification that they were given so much bonuses that it usually adds up to a half of their yearly salary. Devs were also offered shares. Some of them bought more shares with life savings or taking loans, with the shares at the time being close to 30 USD per share. It would have been a no-brainer as the stock started going up each year after that, peaking at just over 100 US dollars. It sounds like a pretty good deal, and it was for the people that sold it around that price. This comes dangerously close to insider trading, however, as devs have first-hand knowledge of the state of the product of any game and can actively sell their stocks before the release of a bad product, or the other way around, sell stocks after the release of a good product. You know what? Scratch that. This is insider trading considering it falls under the definition of it. That's not the end of Ubisoft's troubles, however. The Insider Gamer posted, fingers crossed, not an April Fool's joke, that Ubisoft has a plan detailed in a leaked memo. The leaked memo mentions the new subsidiary staying part of the Ubisoft family and operate directly under Ubisoft. It also mentions studios in Quebec, Saguenay, and Sherbrooke studios will move to the new entity, while the Montreal team will be spread between the new entity and the current Ubisoft organization. The other studios in Toronto, Winnipeg, Red Storm, and Blue Mammoth will stay under the same organization. The memo also mentioned that their employees have questions about what's next, but they still haven't figured that part out and need time, which they followed up with a 3-step plan. Step 1, this very announcement was leaked. Step 2 will be going on till this year's summer, where they will figure out how to support the new entity. They at least said the leaders will be involved for this phase. Oh boy. Step 3, execute the new model they figured out during the period. At least they thanked their employees. Oh boy. Now, the investors though, they are not happy with what Ubisoft is doing, with them sending a letter to Ubisoft demanding an extraordinary general meeting and the ability for shareholders to vote on 2 things. 1, renegotiating a deal with Tencent into an asset sale worth no less than 4 billion euros and distribute 3 billion euros divided to shareholders while also preserving 1 billion to cover corporate and debt. They also want Tencent to be excluded from this voting, and the Gilmore brothers to have limited voting rights. And to top it off, Ubisoft also shut down their Leamington studios. This raising a few questions, really. Why is the stock not rising? That will be the first one. The second, why are the investors trying to change the deal Ubisoft made with Tencent? I mean, the answer should be obvious at this point. Things are not looking good for Ubisoft, and no matter how many puff pieces the gaming media spins, that will not increase the trust in shareholders, and that is what really matters here. And on that note, the gamer is trying to make a mountain out of a molehill. They posted an article where Ivy May, the creator of Cat Dragon, I'm not even gonna bother trying to pronounce this, shared Valve's advice on how to deal with toxic players, with a gamer trying to make a spin on it, saying gamers will be angry at anything no matter what. All of that while linking to an archived post on r/no stupid questions. One of the comments mentioned to OP that they are confusing IGN users with the gaming community. God, I can feel the secondhand burns from behind the screen. On top of that, the article also links to multiple Blue Sky articles that are deleted, most likely because the dev realized majority of people won't support them. Well, they most likely learned that starting a ruckus doesn't work when making sales. Speaking of causing a ruckus, Eidos Montreal laid off another 75 employees after January's layoffs. The post on LinkedIn states the layoffs did not reflect on their dedication or skills, but because the company didn't have the capacity to support said members. You think that the studio that is responsible for Thief and the F6 series is capable of making something good? But hey, here we are. Speaking of something good, grab your popcorn because we're going to have a look at South of Midnight, specifically its numbers on SteamDB, and it's going as well as expected really. Hasn't even broken the 600 player mark as of the 6th of April. You'd think that the developer would be looking at the forums and listening to player feedback, but hey, locking anything that isn't praising the game sounds more spicy, so let's go with that. With questions such as simply asking, why is no one talking about the game? Why is it $48 when it only takes 8 hours to finish? And who is the target audience getting locked simply because people are asking questions? Talk about a great approach here, am I right? Speaking of great approach, 5 out of 8 of Japan's AAA game companies have seen their share prices reach all-time high in the past 2 months. This is reported by Dr. Serkan Toto, an industry analyst on Kantan Games. This includes Sony, Nintendo, Konami, Capcom, and Bandai Namco, with Konami making a comeback with the release of Silent Hill 2, Capcom releasing Monster Hunter Wilds, and announced 10 million copies sold, Bandai Namco with Elden Ring's DLC and Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, and of course Sony and Nintendo with their dominance over the console market, with their respective consoles. And yes, I am aware of the situation surrounding the Switch 2 and the cost of games on it. Yes, this is bad no matter how you look at it, since this will have an effect on all of the AAA industry, and gamers are not going to win from such high prices really, let's be honest. Let's stay with Capcom though for a hot minute. With them announcing 10 million copies sold in the first month, the director of the game posted a thank you letter to the players on the Monster Hunter website. The letter also contains a roadmap for what they plan on doing with the game moving forward. There are also dates on what the players will get for free as well, so kudos to them. On top of that, the letter also mentions that they identified issues with the game and will be working on fixing those issues. It's if you're looking out for a customer and that is making you money, is an outlandish concept for some game companies. You know what? We've covered Capcom, let's pop over to Sony and Sweet Baby Inc. Yet again, an insider from Sweet Baby Inc. went to Gothic Therapy and said that Sony was cancelling games involving SBI, even going as far as say they were targeted for terminations of projects that were in development. This doesn't come as a surprise considering Sony is one of the 5 AAA gaming companies in Japan that their share prices reached an all-time high recently. And with Sweet Baby Inc. being under fire for their behind-the-scenes meddling with popular IPs, this was just a matter of time. SBI were even boasting about centering marginalized voices, quote-unquote. Thankfully, gamers pointed out that it's just homogenized content. To top it off, Kim Belair was even upset that gamers had a choice for their protagonists in games like Mass Effect 2, even citing her desire to expose everyone to her specific choices. Follow your specific choices, eh? How's that working out for you? And finally, let's touch a bit more on last week's shit show that was the Genshin Impact VA drama, as there was a lot of stuff that I didn't have time to cover. Here's the TLDR. SAG-AFTRA is trying to force MiHoYo, a foreign company, to sign a contract with them that will harm non-union English voice actors, and that could cause conflict of interest with the All China Federation of Trade Unions that MiHoYo is a member of. Alright, if you don't want to hear the stupidity that happened during the week, by all means, that was that. Now, considering you want to hear the rest of the shit show, grab on your bucket helmets or whatever you want to use as a face protection, because this is a doozy. And let's start with PC Gamer and the article covering the news of Kenichi's voice actor. Of course, this being PC Gamer, this is fully playing defense for SAG-AFTRA. Such statements as Jacob Takanashi came in and accepted the role without acknowledging the ongoing strike, despite the VA saying he was not aware of the strike as covered last week. The article mentioned John Patnold was voicing the character for half a decade. I'd very much like to know what breakthrough in physics were they able to achieve to get a game that was released on the 28th of September 2020 and a character released on the 17th of September 2014 to have a 5-year tenure. I mean, Genshin is close to the 5-year-old mark, but the character release is nowhere near that. Talk about delusions. On top of that, the article also tries to portray Takanashi's message as if John stepped down from the role due to illness or an accident. I have a feeling I need something strong to get through this story, and we're nowhere near the end of it by the sounds of things. Not to be outdone by PC Gamer, one of the voice actors took to Reddit that ended with the post being hidden by moderators. The comments are still in full display though. The top poster there explains a few things. How every union member that worked for Hoyo has broken what SAG-AFTRA refers to as Global Rule 1. To summarize, you're not allowed to work on projects not protected by SAG if you're a member of the union. There is more, but without context to the post, I can't make heads or tails of the context really. Another editor also asked if the main point is just AI protection, why isn't that just the main point of the project? And why does the project have to become union to be unstruck if it doesn't matter, quote, in the first place? The commenter also mentioned Hoyo moved sound cadence, which guarantees their actors protection from AI usage. There was another voice actor who came on Reddit arguing why Jacob and Hoyo were in the wrong and then deleted their account after their post got refuted. The same voice actor made the same argument on r/Gacha Gaming. Got the same response as on Genshin Impact subreddit. So guess what? I ain't working out for you now, is there, buddy? And since people didn't agree with him, he went to Blue Sky and tweeted, and I quote, Genshin Impact subreddit deserves to be banned at this point. He also changed his bio to Genshin Impact is cringe. What a mature response. This situation has gotten so bad that people have been mass reporting threads about the strike, with another commenter mentioning that it's always consistently posts where the union is being dragged through the mud. The OP is also updating what's happening on the comments, with the mass reported posts being slowly approved. But wait, there's more! Chinese players also decided to throw their 2 cents in the discussion after hearing about the drama. They are uninstalling the game in droves as protests and also emailing Peng Bo, the voice director, demanding him to pressure the English side to remove the unprofessional VAs. They went as far as to call SAG-AFTRA a mafia organization. God damn, that sounds on point. Some of the Chinese player comments will be linked in the source material with translation. They also commented on Paimon's English VA crashing out over the whole situation. That should also be included in the materials as well. Now, speaking of Paimon's English VA crashing out, she went to social media and started telling everybody that, and I quote, if voice actors both non-union and union in a video game want the game to go union, the game should go union. And at no point in her rambling did she mention anything revolving around AI or why Genshin should go with SAG-AFTRA. She went as far as to call people liars, even though most of the people are using SAG's own website as the source. She even mentioned YouTubers don't know anything about the industry. There was also a Reddit post saying that the entire Genshin voice cast wasn't paid for an entire year, but yet again it's most likely mass reported as that post is gone. Even the comments pointed out that if that was the case, people would have spoken about it a long time ago regardless of NDAs, as they don't offer protection from people speaking up if they're not getting paid on time. To top it off, Kaylee Mills, the voice actor for Paimon, made a huge assumption about Takanashi and his life, going as far as to say it's a small job for him and that, quote, for all we know, his wife's the breadwinner, end quote. She deleted the tweet, but Reddit once again saved the day. There was a commenter mentioning that she is likely trying to get fired at this point because this is nowhere near professional behavior. She also deleted her Twitter account, however, some of her tweets made it to the internet archive called Reddit. And once you're on Reddit, unless the mods say otherwise, you're staying there. There was a tweet where she mentioned that no union actor should work non-union at all, with a person asking about Global Rule 1, which was mentioned earlier in the video, if it was enforced specifically. She replied with yes, which is another case of her openly breaking the contract she signed. Finally, to wrap things up, a Redditor posted a comment from a YouTube video about Hoyo's hiring practices. To sum it up, Zach Aguilar, English VA for Ether, interviewed other Genshin VAs about how they got their job, which they replied they didn't know what they were even auditioning for. The project had code names, the VA submitted a few lines, and that's it. It implies that Jacob Takanashi could have potentially went through the same thing. Reddit will also not forget what SAG-AFTRA did with the game. That's something I wish I could have, butchering so many names, but hey, it is what it is. Now, to drown this whole article with something strong. You guys know the drill at this point. Like it if you like it, dislike it if you dislike it, leave a comment, and I'll see you later.